Hey, welcome back, guys. Thanks for watching the last video. It went up to almost 600 views, and I'm happy with that. That's real good for me. Now, can you guys do me a favor and pass this video on and the other video to other guys not on this Facebook page because they might be interested in watching such a video just to hang out, something like that. It's just all fun and games. And another thing I'd like to mention, I won't mention the people, but the picture I used for the thumbnail of this video was actually of a Nimitz class carrier. I couldn't find a Independence photo, which was high resolution, to use that was not copyrighted also. So if anybody has one, I'd appreciate it if you could send it to me. I don't know, I'll use it either way. And I would appreciate that. And other comments were like, it was fun. I mean, for me, it was really fun doing this because I've been in PI for like 14 years. And again, I did say it before that this is the most English I've spoken in a long, long time. And it's been a lot of fun. It's like me being on the indie again as a young buck and without all the hard work, just hanging out. Basically, it was like something like a day off and BSing inside the hangar bay or just hanging out with the buds. On to the video, I guess. This story was supposed to be part of the first video, but I messed up on it. I kept on calling the escalator elevator. Now I was gonna go with it, try to fix it a little bit, or maybe do a voiceover, but it wouldn't work because I said elevator instead of escalator 8, 10 times. So this is a redo. My berthing was behind the bowling alley on the Indy, the 84-man berthing there. There was two doors, port and starboard side. The port side was straight to a door going down the escalator, 3 flights down to our ready room. So every time during man overboard, that would be my route. And I would usually run down there and do a hard right and muster for man overboard. One time I was going down there after midnight and I heard somebody running up the elevator. No, the escalator. The escalator. Okay. So I looked down, nobody was there, but the sound kept becoming louder and louder. But nobody was running up the escalator. So I didn't know if I was going to go or just hold on. I did hold on because the sound was becoming louder and louder as if somebody was getting closer and closer. It was so loud that I knew it was only like 10 steps away from me. So I just made way like a good sailor. Made way, and suddenly there was this gush of wind that just passed me. So I guess somebody was coming up the escalator. Now, comments that I forgot to mention from the last video. Somebody mentioned that people leap towards believing the paranormal instead of finding a scientific basis for what happened. I agree with that. The thing is, though, or this has been happening to me for over 50 years now. Maybe 52 years because I'm 56 right now. I did my best and gave my best while I was in the Navy and just ignored all these paranormal things. So it's a one-on-one deal, really. The scientific side of somebody's belief and the paranormal. There is one thing, though, that we shouldn't forget or we shouldn't take for granted. We live by science, everyday management of what we do or what we are in this world. But there will come a time that all of this will no longer matter. In one Click right there. We'll be done and over with. And there will no longer be any science or how we lived for the past so many years. The only thing that we can rely on during that time is faith. Faith and faith alone, whether we believe it or not. That's just something to think of because we're all getting there in age, in time. So there is one thing I would like to share with you guys. I have a pamphlet here of Saint Raphael. I've had this for like over 15 years, a long time. And Saint Raphael is the patron saint of people in need and people that are sick. You can use it as a prayer. I've been praying with this pamphlet for so long now, and it's been working. I'm disabled. I'm actually 80% disabled, and I still function. I don't know if it's because of the VA medicine or TRICARE or prayers. Just wanted to share this with you guys. I'm here at the farm and we're harvesting. We've been harvesting for a couple weeks now and we're still not done. I was supposed to make some video shots today, but we got really busy. So now it's about 2:30 in the morning and the farm hands are asleep. So I got all my stuff and just moved by the truck. And this is the furthest I can get from those guys that are asleep. Story for tonight is when I retired, I went back to Subic, visited Subic and QB Point. And nowadays, the housing there, the officers' housing back then, they're all for rent. They were sold to civilians and they rented out to tourists. So I decided to get a house for a couple nights. That first night, I was hanging out just in front of the house and saw two guys. And these two guys were young bucks, maybe like 20, 25-year-old guys. And they were just hanging out in front of their house for rent. They were actually the caretakers of that house. They were waiting for customers and I kind of talked to them for a little bit. I didn't pay much attention because it was normal for to have people in front of a house waiting for customers or clients to rent it out. Even though it's like 9:30 at night, they're still hoping for customers. So it was fine. So the next night, I saw them again. And it was kind of earlier. It was like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. And I just asked them like, don't you guys ever go into the house? I mean, why are you guys hanging out and both of you are hanging out in front? And they said, well, we really don't go inside the house. And that was kind of questionable. They said, well, we just hang out in front and wait for clients or customers. And we rent it out that way. And I said, so what's going on? Tell me. And after a few minutes, they actually opened up because I was hanging out with them and kind of known them the night before. And they said, well, there's something inside the house. Well, I asked them, what's wrong with it? And they actually opened up little by little, of course. And they said, well, sir, the former owner, we think, is still in the house. And I said, what are you guys talking about, the former owner? They said, well, there's a tall lady that usually shows up. And I said, okay, there's a ghost. Right? And he said, yeah, it's something like that, sir, something like that. So I said, wow. So now I know why you guys are, this is the second night, you guys are just hanging up front. And they said, Well, we just hang out right here up front. We leave the house at like 6 o'clock, and over the night, they just hang out in front. So that said, I said, well, that's kind of weird, really. So I said, well, if there is a ghost, well, maybe they're afraid. So I just went back inside the house I was renting. Went back, hung out, and of course came back out again like 10 or 10, 11 o'clock. And they were still up front, just waiting there. Dino Boy. It's Dino Boy, my dog. Uh, they said, well, I did go out again and then just check, and they were still up front. And I asked him, hey, don't you have any customers yet? No customers yet? I said, no, no, no. And I said, I looked up because it's a two-story house. And there was a tall lady standing right there. And it was kind of surreal because she was like being blown by the wind and there was no wind. And so I looked at them. When I looked at them, they were actually already looking at me because I looked up. And they just, almost at the same time, they said like, see, we told you, Sarge. I guess it's true. So I just walked back inside my rental. Next day, they were there. They were, of course, inside the house. So I kind of waved because I could see them. It's a big balcony. They were upstairs cleaning or something. And I said, so you guys just hang out in the house during the daytime? Yeah, yes, sir. That's what we do. That's that story right there from Subic. And we got another one. I usually go metal detecting, you know, that hobby. I've been metal detecting since 1990. I bought my first detector. It was a second, third, or fourth hand detector from some magazine I saw. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna find anything, but with that first detector, I did find a gold ring. So I got hooked. So fast forward 30 plus years later, I still go metal detecting once in a while. Thing is, I usually go alone because nobody else in PI has one. Probably nowadays there's some people that have it, but that's few and far between. So I usually go out myself and go metal detecting during the day, and I usually spend the whole day there, wherever it is, until sundown. Right when sundown, I start packing up and go home. I was in a mountain which used to be Japanese held territory. There used to be a small base there of Japanese. This is Japanese from World War II, of course. And I did go metal detecting there. I did find some stuff, some mostly relics, or in other words, garbage, and some helmets, some old bayonets and stuff like that. I actually didn't keep it. I just left it there because I wasn't interested in bringing something bad home. And they were all Japanese. So here in the Philippines, there's still a bad taste for the old folks because of World War II and when Japan took over the PI for like 4 years during that war. So I just decided to leave all those relics. I actually reburied it. So I was on my way home. I was only on my motorcycle back then. And so I parked at the bottom or mid-level up the mountain because that's the only way I could get way up. So I just left the motorcycle. I was already heading down, got all my stuff, just a backpack and my metal detector. And it was already sundown. So as I was walking, something parallel to me was walking also. And every step I made, it was stepping also at the same time. So it was like something in unison. I knew there was something walking right by me, parallel to me, but I just ignored it because I know for a fact that nobody else was there because I parked midway in this mountain, which wasn't really a tall mountain. And that was the only entrance or exit to it. And there was no farms around it, so nobody would go up there. I mean, 1 in a million chance, but nobody was there. I was there all day, and I was all there by myself. So something was walking parallel in unison, maybe 10, 15 feet more, maybe 20 feet away from me to my right. So it was downhill, so it was kind of a balanced walk. And I intentionally went offbeat for a little bit, meaning that I was gonna step with my left foot and I held it in midair so I could hear whoever was walking right by me to make that step by himself or by itself. And it did. It made that mistake. I looked because I was sure that somebody was walking in unison by me. And I heard a growl. Now, this was a small or a low guttural sound. I could tell that it wasn't a big humanoid because by this time I already figured out that it was walking on two legs, and so it was a humanoid type figure. It had a low guttural sound, like it was angry because I tricked it into stepping without me stepping, or it kind of figured out that it was discovered. I looked and there was nothing there. So I continued walking downhill, down the path, and it again started walking only after 4 or 5 of my steps. I guess it was trying to get in unison again with me. So I just kept walking, kind of hurried a little bit. It was already sunset towards my motorcycle. Hopped onto my motorcycle. And of course, I always park my vehicles ready to go out, ready to escape. I mean, that's just me in any situation. So I just hopped on, turned it on, went going, slow, because I didn't want to take chances. It was a downhill run in a rocky road. And I could hear running this time behind me. I kind of looked, but it was there was a lot of vegetation, but there was something running behind me. It was no longer parallel to me, but it was behind me because I could hear the pebbles or the rocks being thrown after every stride. So I just did not speed up because I didn't want to risk having an accident on the rocky road going downhill. And gradually I reached the bottom, and when I hit the asphalt, it was a small asphalt road. It was old asphalt too. So I just went faster. I don't know why I did it, but when I was already in the asphalt, I kind of felt safer. So I stopped my motorcycle. I wanted to hear if it was following me. I heard that guttural growl again. And this time it was louder, more air from its chest. So I think now looking back at it, I think the first growl that I heard was it pretending to be smaller than it was, because that second growl, it came from something a lot bigger. I mean, they're smart. I mean, not so smart, but they're kind of smart. Oh man. Okay guys, I got a triple location story. I don't care if nobody believes me, but this is what happened. The first location, I was in Big Bear. This was when I was still stationed in San Diego, a long time ago. We went to a lake. We did a picnic. So we were having fun. I only had my eldest son back then, and back then he was only like 6, 7 years old. So we're having fun right by the lake. Had a picnic, enjoyed the day. And right before lunch, we were done with our picnic. So we decided to go home. On the way out, we were the only ones there by that lake. I think it was a Saturday, weekday, but it was funny. Nobody else was there. I guess there are more lakes that other people go to, but we were the only ones there. So we packed everything up, ready to go. It was a dirt road out of this lake, and I just looked and I saw a black dog. It was kind of looked like a big black German Shepherd. It was just hiding in the bushes, I could tell. It was watching me or us in our car. And there was another dog. And there was another dog. I think there was a whole pack of them. There was like 4 to 6 dogs that I saw. And they started running parallel with my vehicle. So it was a kind of a slow drive because it was rocky. It was a dirt road. And it just occurred to me that we were there by ourselves, having a great time, having a picnic. And I always bring a firearm when I would go out to places like that. Unfortunately, it was only a 9mm, and that would have kept me safe. So I just looked back on it like just a pack of dogs. Now, the second location I want to talk about is when it was a Padres game. And I usually volunteer to help our association in the Navy. So I would cook hot dogs, serve beer and all that stuff at the Chargers game. And when I was already on my way home, because we got done closing up, everybody else left the Coliseum, and it was already like 1 o'clock. Got done cleaning. So I was on my way out. I was living in Coronado, and this is the city part, the San Diego city part. So I had to go to Barrio Logan and then go up the Coronado Bridge and then on to the Coronado Island. I stopped at the red light right before you hit Barrio Logan. Looked to my left, waiting for the green light. Nothing was there. I look again, and there was this big, I know there's no wolves supposedly in a San Diego area, but there was this big wolf. I know the difference between a coyote or a hybrid wolf dog mix, and this was a wolf. It was a big beast, and it was just sitting there. And I had a SUV back then, and it was almost parallel to me in the SUV. It was just sitting there to my left, right before the crosswalk. I looked, I did press the window and make sure that I was looking at something, just a little bit. And they was just looking at me. Now, the third location is, I told y'all that I used to live in Coronado. Me and the kids, we went to a taco place in Imperial Beach. And there's a playground right by that taco place. It was kind of early, like 8 in the evening. I usually park right behind that takeout place. And I just let the kids play in that small playground while I get some Mexican food. Now, I ordered the food, I was waiting for it, and they're quick about it. So I just peered to the left of the building, and I usually just check on my kids all the time. They were just playing, so I was just waiting. Another minute or two, I looked again. The SUV is right there, and they were right in front of the SUV. That same wolf that I saw right by the Coliseum, the Padres field, the same wolf was right there. My kids were like 8 years old, my eldest back then, and my youngest was 3 years old. And I saw that wolf, it was just standing there watching them. Maybe not 15 feet away. So I just walked slowly, grabbed my youngest. I just had my youngest clutched into my chest and grabbed my eldest behind me, and we just walked back little by little towards the cooking area of that takeout place. I asked the guys that were cooking that I didn't want to say it was a wolf because nobody believed me. I just asked them, hey, do you guys know that there's a real big dog right by the playground? And the two guys just said, no, there's no dog there. That's crazy. So I left my kids right there and I retrieved my vehicle and moved it up front. And again, I want to say, I know the difference between not a wolf and a wolf, but this was a wolf. And that was scary. It wasn't growling or anything. It was just standing there looking at my kids. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened. So be careful out there. Just want to say, this story happened right here. This happened 2 or 3 years ago. I was the only one here standing to watch. And I was inside the hut. I heard a commotion and I saw something behind the hut. It was a shadow as big as me. I peered through the window and it peered at me at the same time. So I actually thought for a second there that it was me or my shadow because it all happened at the same time. When I peered, it actually peered at the same time. So I went back and peered again. And I went back. But this time, when I went back, it stayed there. It was just looking at me like this. No eyes, no face. It was a dark shadow, black, blacker than its background, which I usually see. But this time it was big as me. Usually these small shadows were no bigger than 3 or 4 feet tall that I see. That's why I mistook it for myself. So I retreated. I went back to the other side so I could peer through another window and verify that it was something else. And I looked at it. It was still not moving. It was still slanted. And when I peeked, I could tell, even though it was just a shadow, that it looked towards me. And it started shaking. Yep. It looked at me and it started shaking. Like that. That was crazy. I didn't even bother to go outside. It's not that I was afraid, but actually I felt that it was just playing with me. So I didn't want to play. So I decided just to go back to bed. The husband and wife team that are healers, and I invited them over here, and they took care of it. Now this is the thing though, I actually had them picked up. They came over and they just went on with their work. I didn't even talk to them at first. The guy, the healer, he went behind the hut, and that exact same spot I'm talking about, he just stood there. So I said, oh man. And he said there was something here the night before. He said that it was trying to move, but it just stood there and started shaking. I mean, I was aghast. And I said, continue. What else? It was just playing with you. It didn't have any ill intent towards you. It was just playing a trick on you. And it's called capre. Now, capre is supposedly elemental being that's a tall man, looks kind of a Neanderthal or prehistoric. That's what it looks like. And I said, well, will you able to take care of it? He said, that's no problem. It was just playing with you. You know, it's no problem. So I said, okay, go ahead, take care of it. And he did. After 6 months, it came back. But when he established the boundary around the farm, it couldn't enter the farm anymore. After that, it came 2 or 3 more times, but just outside of the boundary of the farm. That's it. And Beastie, come here. Come here, boy. Beastie, come here, boy. And this is Beastie. He's an angry dog. He's the boss. And this is Dino Boy. Dino Boy. Beastie, come here. That's Beastie right there. They're best friends. But Beastie is the boss. Now hold on guys, hold on guys. We're not done yet. There is still one other story that I want to add on. This is a story from one of our shipmates. Used to be my squadron mate in VS-21 aboard the Independence. He was actually my roommate also while in at Subic Naval Air Facility in the barracks. Now, he told me a story of what happened to him in the sponson. Remember we talked about the sponson in the last video? I usually walk in there and there would be this white guy with white hair in the corner, and he would just be smoking a long cigarette, just hanging out. And I used to ignore this guy or pretend that he wasn't there. Now, this is his story. Andy, I know you're out there, man. What's up? Hey, so he walked in the smoke pit and there was nobody there. I think he was one of the first ones to go in there, even though the smoking light was always lit during the AM part or after midnight. So he walked in there and he started talking to Popeye. Now, I remember the story now from back long ago in the 90s. Popeye used to be a ghost that would be seen on our ship, and he would actually be Popeye. I mean, he was an exact replica of Popeye the Sailor Man, so they called him Popeye. So, again, going back to the story, he was in the sponson. He walked towards Popeye. He didn't know it was Popeye, but he was just talking to him. He was talking about something like, I think about the ocean or the breeze or something. And then he looked away from Popeye while he was talking to him. And then when he looked back, Popeye was gone. And then so he looks around like, where is that guy? And then he looked towards his back, and there was another guy there standing. And he asked the guy, hey, did you see that guy that was right here who I was talking to? And the guy said, man, I've been here for a minute, and I don't know who you're talking to. And Andy said, he was just right there. He was just right there. And hey, I guess Popeye's still on our ship. Popeye, rest in peace, or hang out, smoking the long cigarette at the sponsor. Now that's the end. Hey, thank you guys, and like, share, and subscribe, will you? It helps the algorithm, they say, if you put comments, and I just want to keep doing this. It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to the next video. And thanks guys for hanging out. Appreciate it.